from Salinas. This is my friend Joseph from Morgan Hill, California. We're at Roosevelt Elementary School in Salinas. This school was built in 1923 on the site of a school that had been here since the 1870s. So there's been a mixture of coins found here, even back to seated. And this school's been detected for well over 30 years, even back in the BFO days. Guys used to come here and this was a popular place to metal detect, so it's been pretty picked over. But today's deep seekers, sometimes I still come here just to play around and see if I can eke out a little more. And today we're here to test two metal detectors. We're going to be looking today at the Whites TDI newly introduced machine. It's a pulse machine. Now, pulses of the yesteryear were strictly all metal, and so you couldn't tell nails and high versus low conductors or so forth. So now they've got an incorporation to be able to tell high and low conductors, and we're going to find out today if we can do that. And nails also, reject nails. That would allow it to be used at land sites where a person doesn't have the liberty to be digging up a lot of nails. So we're going to test that capability and see if we can, what kind of depth we can get off this discriminating pulse. To do that, we're going to be comparing it to the Minelab Explorer. This is well known to most hunters out there now. It's a very deep-seeking choice for coin shooters, relic hunters, and this is the Explorer XS, and so we'll be taking on a few flagged targets I've flagged at this school, which on this Explorer, my experience at this school tells me they are going to be deep high conductors. For purposes of today's test, we're limiting it just to like silver coins, copper, silver. Naturally, there's many different types of huntings that can be compared, nuggets, jewelry, whatever. But for just today's purpose, we're going to go on a few flagged targets that I have already flagged that I believe to be 7-8 inch deep high conductor penny dime type of signals. And so we'll be letting you hear what it sounds like on the Explorer, and then we'll go to the TDI and try all different settings and see how well we can bring the same signal. Like I say, this is no bearing on other types of targets and other types of soils. It will just be for a turf hunt comparison. Here's the first signal I've marked. This one to me sounds like a penny or dime at about 7 inches. I've marked it with this little piece of plastic poked into the ground. It's right about here to the side of that. I'm hunting in ferrous mode with the screen wide open, and I'll be trying it in conductive mode, which makes silver sing a little bit better, but this would be in ferrous mode. We're also going to pinpoint a nail so that later on when we've got the TDI to pick up a coin signal satisfactorily, how it's going to sound on a natural in-the-ground nail. So once again, in ferrous mode, I'll be able to hear nails and discern the difference between them and conductive targets. I got one here. As you can tell by the ferrous's low growl, like low tone, means iron. So we'll mark that for future use with a piece of plastic. And now we're going to turn the power on, and I'm going to test it like it would be on a standard pulse, no discrimination. So that would be the ground balance off, and I've got my sensitivity about mid-range. I found my threshold, just barely hear it, and I've got my pulse delay set about halfway. And all the way off, down to 10 would be favoring low conductors, all the way up would be favoring high conductors. No problem getting the coin, but naturally, since we're in typical pulse, there's also other targets all over. These could be nails, paper clips, but the coin alone is definitely there. Picking up my shoe. There's a shallow target. Now I'm going to up the pulse delay to 25. Try it again. There's a target there. And no problem with our coin. No problem with the shallow target. Next I'm going to try it in discriminate. So I'm going to put it in ground balance on, and the first thing I have to do is go into targets all, and I'm going to find a ground balance. To bob it and adjust the ground balance until I hit approximately ground balance. And as you can see, it's right around 4. Now we're going to set it back for high conductors. I got my sensitivity about halfway. Got my threshold so you can just hear it. I've got my pulse delay all the way at 25 to favor high conductors. And now we'll try over the coin. No problem. It's not a loud sound, but an experienced user would know what he's listening for. And as you can see, some of those other targets we were hearing in all metal are not here anymore, so they were either low conductors or nails. But we still get our deep coin. Now we're going to try over the nail we marked earlier. Now as you can tell, we are getting it. However subtle. Now the trick to that is you have to go off your ground balance. The proper ground balance was 4, so I'm going to go counterclockwise a little until, and as you can see, we lose it. Lose it enough that we would be able to tell. Once again, going back to 4, we pick up the nail, and going off ground balance, counterclockwise, gone. I'll try going over balance up to 5. That just causes the nail to come in better. So the trick is, apparently you want to go off ground balance minus. So that's what we've done. Now the question is, can we still hear our coin now that we've lost nails? The answer is yes. The coin is still there. We did not lose too much depth. The shallow coin is still there. Moving around. There's some other overload signals that we would ignore. No telling what those are. Now one thing still working on is a nail on an air test. Depending on how you hit it, I guess an experienced user would know. But if I was in proper ground balance at 4, if I go over ground balance, I pick up the nail. If I go under ground balance, apparently that's the trick. So you go under ground balance, and you do not lose so much depth that you lose coins. Still there. So now we'll dig it up and see what it is. Now we're going to try it on the Explorer on conductive mode. That'll make silver sound better. I've got the bottom 1/3 of the screen blacked out, so I'm hearing all my conductors. This will make silver sound better. I like to use this when I'm hunting turf, if I'm angling for deep, old, high conductor coins. It just makes them stand out higher. And there is music to an Explorer user's ear. Depth bars coming in 7 or 8. Nice and quiet all around. And here's a shallow coin right nearby. That one's only about 2 inches deep. And there's the deep one we're going to get. Okay, for the recovery I'm going to use this plastic catch mat. This is cheap and easy. That comes from a truck inner tube tire cut into a square. Great, when you're done using them, they just fold away in your apron and they pop back out to full and they don't absorb dirt. So good idea for anybody that's looking for a cheap mat that won't get waterlogged and mudlogged. So now we're going to dig up our coin sound. Got a nice plug, and let's see if she's still in there. And we've got this much tailings taken out so far. I couldn't find it in the plug, and I've gotten all this out and just now starting to hear it down there. Pretty deep. So let's go deeper still. Let's see what we got down there. Holy smoke, what the heck is this? This is the deepest I've seen any Whites machine go. There you go. It's a lighter. That sucker was a good 10 inches. So there we have it. This would have read like a high conductive coin, some old lighter, and we got some writing on the bottom. We'll clean that up later. Something patented, something. 1910. Wow. Patented 1910. So there we have it. TDI Pulse Whites machine was able to get a lighter at 10 inches from the turf while fairly reliably knocking out low conductors, if a person so desired, and nails. And I suppose they could learn the audio tricks and memorize those sounds even better. So that was a pretty good find, and we'll move on to the next one. Okay, on the next flag target, there the little plastic pushed into the ground. I'm going to start with the Explorer. I got it on conductive mode with nothing but iron blacked out, and here's what I'm hearing. About a 5-6 inch, probably about 6 inch deep, high conductive coin. In this school, that's deep enough to be a Wheatie or silver. A real gimme. That's a gimme. Not as deep a sounding as that last one was. So let's see how the TDI does. Okay, here's my target. I'm going to test it now with the TDI. I've got my ground balance on so I can discriminate. I've already found out in this area, I've already done a check, and about 4 is perfect balance. I'll start with the gain at halfway. Got my threshold set. I've got my target conductivity set to only want to hear highs, and I got my pulse delay on 25 to favor highs. I'm not hearing any interference, so I'm not doing anything with my frequency set. So here's what it sounds like. Nice, loud signal. But as we saw from before, at this point I would be in danger of getting nails. For example, I can hear that just fine. But if I go with a nail, get sort of signals. So if I go counterclockwise on the ground bounce, we've discovered that seems to help knock out nails. They don't sound quite as good, so I'm a little below my proper ground balance. Checks to knock out iron. Will I still get my coin sound out? But it's lost a little bit, but it's still there. So this machine can probably match standard VLF machines if a person took the time to study the sounds of iron and fiddle with all the tones. Naturally, if they got more experience, some of these sounds that might appear to be everywhere, of course they would learn to pass up stuff that's obviously surface or double beeps or whatever. There's a lot of sound tricks to a pulse, but definitely it's getting 6-7 inch deep coin here. Let's dig it up. Okay, we're going to go retrieve this one now. Once again, I'm going to use my Explorer because I have a probe. Makes it easier. And this one was about a 6 inch, maybe 7 tops, perfect penny dime type of signal. Hopefully we're not getting fooled by deep clad, but it sounds tutti-fluty enough that it doesn't sound like it's been here for a short while. I'm going to guess this is going to be a Wheatie or silver. Probably only 40s, but we'll see. Okay, see if we can hear it. Nice and sweet. I'm only at about 4 inches now. Let's see, the probe only goes 3 inches, so couldn't be more than 7 now. Okay, a little over here. It's kind of creeping over to the side here. Thank goodness for pinpointers, huh? And we have been fooled by a 6 inch deep clad dime, but that would mimic what in turf a deep coin would sound like, even though it didn't turn out to be an old coin. For purposes of testing the TDI for a coin that's at least been buried for 30 plus years, it served a purpose. So there you have it. We've compared a standard VLF powerhouse Minelab with the Whites TDI, and with some experience a guy could probably learn how to knock out nails and cherry pick if he so wanted, but might be other people are saying it's primarily a beach machine to favor low conductors, but at least it's something that could be played with in both environments.